Last week, we brought you part one of our story on Daniel Boone, that famous woodsman and explorer who spent many years in our great state. Following his path is a delight for historians and adventure seekers alike. And tonight, we bring you more to discover in part two of the Daniel Boone Heritage Trail.
By 1762, the Boones and other settlers had begun returning to their homes along the Yadkin Valley. I followed the Daniel Boone Trail, as it were, through Yadkinville, Elkin, Wilkesboro, and along Highway 268 to the upper Yadkin River, where Daniel moved his family in 1766. At Whippoorwill Academy, a replica of Boone's cabin, including stones believed to be from the original, is on display.
In 1769, Daniel Boone had gone into Kentucky on this extended long hunt, and when he came back in 1771, he knew that Kentucky was a special place. He made two other excursions during the next 2 years, but by 1773, he knew that it was time to move his family there because other families were already moving in.
From their home on the upper Yadkin, Daniel would continue his hunting and scouting trips up the plateau of the Blue Ridge Mountains.
Daniel Boone never lived up on the Blue Ridge Mountains, but he had a cabin up there that was used by several long hunters to store their meat, and it was there at Meat Camp Creek.
On the campus of Appalachian State University, there are two monuments to Daniel Boone. One erected in 1912 by a relative of Rebecca Boone, Colonel William Lewis Bryan. And the other statue just down the road depicts Daniel Boone with his hunting dogs around a campfire. It's believed Boone had a cabin near this site. Daniel Boone is one of the characters in the Horn in the West outdoor drama, which tells the story of the early settlers to this region. In 1773, Boone sold his land and attempted to move his family to Kentucky.
But that was when one of the great tragedies of his life unfolded. His oldest son, James, was ambushed and killed by a party of Shawnee and Cherokee and Delaware on their way toward Cumberland Gap. And that stopped Daniel Boone in his tracks, and it was 2 more years before he actually made his way into Kentucky.
I followed Old Highway 421 north from Sugar Grove and found a couple more markers on up to the Tennessee line.
When you look at a map and you see all the places he went, it is amazing and impressive to think about him getting to all of those places on foot, horseback, and canoe. Daniel Boone lived and has his footprints in a lot of places in northwest North Carolina. But it's interesting to note that his footprints are spread across 11 states today that go from Pennsylvania all the way to Missouri, where he died in 1820. Daniel and Rebecca had 10 children, one of which died in infancy. But the remarkable thing to me is that Daniel Boone had 57 grandchildren. Now, I didn't say he could name them all, but he had 57 grandchildren. And so the generations, the people who are alive today are in the 8th, 9th, and 10th generation. So when your family gets that large by the 2nd generation, the probability that we're all related to Daniel Boone is pretty high. The North Carolina Daniel Boone Heritage Trail is a wonderful way to learn more about Daniel Boone. And we call it a trail, but there's not really a segment of a path that you can walk that Daniel Boone would have trod on, but there's certainly a heritage trail where you can intersect his life by going to these different sites. I love to share the story about America's pioneer hero who spent 21 years here in North Carolina. And I can't take you back in time, but I can take you to the places where history happened. And that's what the North Carolina Daniel Boone Heritage Trail is all about.
This is Derek Long for North Carolina Weekend.
To learn more about North Carolina's Daniel Boone Heritage Trail, visit ncdbht.org. And don't forget the Daniel Boone Family Festival in downtown Mocksville on May 6th.